We had, and Lloyd just referred to it, we had a member of the governing body turn against the truth back in the 70s, yes. I knew the man personally.
I did too.
I watched the whole thing happen, and when it was time, and I've learned things which I won't go into detail, but the way it got exposed, it was like the biggest goof up that anybody would have ever dreamed. He had stuff all ready to go in print that was totally against the scriptures. And somebody, one of his cohorts, well, it was the memorial of 1980, he gets up and tells the whole congregation, everybody should partake of the emblems. You're all going to go to heaven. And he blew the cover off the whole thing. Well, what prompted him? I mean, only an idiot would do something like that. He ran ahead of Ray Franz and betrayed that within, you know, within their little game they were playing. And that took it right there. It all came
He was
out.
working on the Insight books and writing those, and was coming across scriptures of...
He worked on the aid book.
The aid book, that's what it is,
That's
the
what you
beginning,
mean.
yeah, that's what I
I
mean.
agreed with you, but it's aid.
You know, he was, Jehovah used him, he, you know, in his research, he helped with the elder arrangement. But at some point, Satan entered into him, and Jehovah took care of it and get it done.
He accepted with open arms. I was on a special committee. It was outside the congregation that had to deal with a very prominent man in God's organization. He'd been in the truth, in the jail for the truth. He had quite a history of doing good things, but he was a drunk and alcoholic. And as a result, he could commit all kinds of terrible things and forgive the people who were victims. He could forgive them. Anyway, he was disfellowshipped. And he was welcomed with open arms into Ray Franz's fold. So I don't know how high his standards were. And I've been socially with Ray Franz too, and have an idea of maybe some of the problems that might have been there that I would never know about. It's none of my business. That were telltale signs of where it was going. So. It's like the guy that Schnell, who wrote the article, I was a slave of the Watchtower for 30 or 40 years. That's exactly what he was. If we don't have a relationship with God, we can be a slave to anything. I can be a slave to my car. I can be a slave to my house. But this Schnell was a slave to the Watchtower. He had no relationship with God. He was a mechanical guy that was back there, negative, trying to destroy faith rather than build it, and made a lot of money writing a book. But that doesn't change the fact that we agree with him, I agree with him, that he was a slave of the Watchtower. That has nothing to do with the truth, by the way.
It was his own choice. But anyway, the point here is not to spend a lot of time talking about Raymond Franz, but use that as an example. Because I know details how what happened. And it's like they created this snare, and then one of them stepped in it and triggered the thing. That's not real smart. But anyway, it got taken care of. He said the organization can't go on without me. He's gone. It's still Jehovah's Church. See, this is the confidence you want to have.
So I hear what you're saying, in that we have to wait on Jehovah. But I feel like I don't know that there's any examples in the Bible where somebody was doing something wrong and Jehovah said, no, you need to wait. And they said, no, somebody's doing something wrong. And Jehovah said, no, you need to wait. And it took a long time, hundreds of years, 50, 60, 70 years, or whatever. Jehovah always took immediate action. He used his prophets, like Jeremiah. You gave the talk on Thursday. The first half of the whole meeting was all about Jeremiah and how he stood up for pure worship, and how we have to do the same. You related Jeremiah to us today, and we have to make sure that our worship is pure and that our worship is clean and undefiled. And to me, it relates to the disfellowship arrangement. We disfellowship people because we do not condone their practices.
We aren't vigilantes, though. We don't have horses outside and we saddle them up and we go out and we get the bad guys. We don't work. God's organization scripturally doesn't work that way. So there are no vigilantes who are going to go take sniper shots at prominent men in God's organization. Jehovah will take care of that and does, and
But
we've seen it in our lifetimes.
But if we see examples of things that are affecting our worship, 8 million people's worship, that, you know, the song at the 2016 convention at the very end was a worldly song that was written by a group that write songs for the, I have it in my letter, for violent video games. They've been known and linked with the occult and satanic worship, and they had to either purchase the rights for that song to use that song for the Paradise video, or it was a copyright infringement. And this isn't something that somebody just told me and I thought, well, yeah, that sounds true. This is something that you can prove. You can
well,
hear the song.
How do you know, how did they resolve it? Do you know, are you in a position to know how it was resolved? Or the qualifying reasons that might have been involved?
So then shouldn't there be something printed in the pages of the Watchtower for everybody who knows that this song was used?
I don't, you know,
that
it's
we
like
were all exposed to that song?
We'll give you an example. Let's say an assembly hall overseer you think lives too lavish a life up here at Woodburn. Seems to have too much spending money. Are you going to form some audit committee, or do we have trust in the fact that God's organization audits those books every year, sends in independent auditors to be able to check it? I have no problem with it. If he's ripping the God's organization off, it'll be taken care of. I don't have to be a vigilante. I don't have any proof of it. I have an assumption. I have an assumption that nothing was done and nothing's being done, when that's not true. We have all the checks and balances in place. We just have to leave it in Jehovah's hands and let him take care of it.
So this is something that's all over the internet. Not only were we
Well, I'm
exposed
glad I
to
don't
this
go
song,
there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Not only
there's a
were
lot of
we,
stuff on the internet.
as a whole organization, exposed to this song at the convention over and over and over again. And how does Jehovah feel?
What song is that?
It's the Paradise video, the very last song that was played at the convention.
The conclusion of the Remain Loyal to Jehovah convention. She's referring to the song that's at the end of that convention, where they did a video that kind of strung the whole theme together. It had the different participants in Paradise.
It's an instrumental song, and
Was that this past summer or the year before?
2016.
2016. Not the closing song that we sang, though.
No, not this song we sang, the song that was played for the video.
Video.
So every time, I mean, we're there, we're worshiping Jehovah, and our worship's supposed to be clean and pure, and then to hear that worldly music that is linked to spiritism, how does that make Jehovah feel? Over and over and over again in the summertime, when the conventions are going. Not only that, now it's all over the internet, and you can prove that it is true, because you can look at the song, you can look at the cover of the album, and you can play your video back that you recorded on your phone and see it is the exact same song. And there are...
Let's say a brother, by the way, I come from North Hollywood, California. My vocation was the studio business. Only I got the truth at 22 and backed out of it. My family all worked there and have been in behind the cameras. As a result, the congregation I came in the truth is, we had personalities from Hollywood. Baja Marimbas, the Tijuana Brass, their trumpet player was our accounts overseer. You have different ones like that Mel Torme was studying while I was in that congregation. So you have these different personalities. And let's say that this brother who was our, I won't mention his name, first name is Chuck. Let's say that he stole a song from Trini Lopez and disguised the title and everything else and convinced God's